If you've been listening to these podcasts for a while, you'll know that we talk about pregnancy loss in all its forms. The losses that happen to us, the ones that blindside us, and the ones that leave us grieving in silence. Today's conversation sits somewhere that doesn't often get space in this world. We're talking about abortion grief, not the politics of it, not the debate, the actual human experience of what it feels like to carry a decision, to grieve a choice, to feel relief and guilt and sadness all at the same time and have nowhere to put any of it. Pregnancy loss in all its forms carries stigma, but abortion carries a whole other layer of it. And I believe that until we can hold space for every kind of loss, every kind of grief, we are only telling half the story. So today, we're telling more of it. Welcome to the What I Wish I Knew After Pregnancy Loss podcast. I am your host, Shalina Southern. I am an angel mum, a rainbow mum, a pregnancy loss practitioner, and trauma-informed coach. I created the Institute of Healing Through Pregnancy Loss out of my own experience with loss in the hopes to provide understanding and healing, educating people on pregnancy loss, and creating more women or men in trained support roles. In this podcast, I hope to shed light on what I wish I knew in relation to pregnancy loss, opening up the conversation, breaking the stigma, and bringing real-life stories plus guest experts. Thank you for being here with me today, and let's dive into today's episode. Welcome to the podcast, the intersection of pregnancy loss, fertility, trauma, and purpose, having the conversations that should have been happening all along. Today, I have with me Shalina Lodhia. Shalina is a dedicated and empathetic criminologist, counsellor, and resume writer who leverages upon an extensive expertise and personal experience to provide comprehensive support in critical areas of mental health and career development. Her focus includes trauma-informed counselling in the realms of intergenerational trauma, domestic and family violence, fatherlessness, narcissistic and sexual abuse, as well as abortion grief. Thank you so much, Shalina, for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm looking forward to having this conversation, as emotional as it will most likely be. It's something we need to talk about so often that we don't.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's pregnancy loss in itself, in the entirety, is very stigmatized, let alone then diving deeper into the layers of abortion and grief. I'm glad that you're here today. It is obviously heavy, but every conversation I have, I want to be able to bring these conversations to light.
Yeah.
So in saying that, do you want to share a little bit about you, your story, all of the things?
My first abortion was when I was 23. And after all the trauma, like I've been through a lot of trauma since childhood, I never thought that an abortion would be added to it. That was the last thing I expected on my mind. I guess at that age, I was very young, lifestyle, like I had a very strict mother. It was even more traumatic than I've had abortions afterwards, but this was probably one of the most traumatic emotionally rather than physically, because of having to hide it, walking around the house, being pregnant and having to hide it because I could not tell anybody about it. It was really hard. And at that time, I couldn't talk to anybody at all. I had nobody to talk to. I couldn't talk to my mum. I didn't really have many friends I could really talk to. And the ones that I did couldn't quite understand or comprehend what was going on, because for them it was like, just go get an abortion. And I'm like, yes, I have to do that, but I don't know how to process these emotions in my mind. Like, I don't even know how I feel right now. This is last thing on the planet that I wanted to happen. So that was like probably one of my most emotionally traumatic experiences, was never knowing anything about abortions, how the process works, what to do. And I noticed at that time, and even until now, because I've had an abortion recently as well, it's not simple. I don't find the process simple enough emotionally to go through it. I'm still trying to figure out all these years later, like, where do I go and what do I do? And it was even worse back when I was 23 and going back nearly, 10 years ago, and just trying to find the support and the help and the how to get things done. And one doctor will be like, okay, you need a blood test. The other person's, oh, you need to, how many weeks pregnant are you? And I'm like, I don't know what's going on. Why is this so complicated? And I found that the doctors weren't empathetic either when I found out, because I was in hysterics. It was, yeah, just the worst process. It's almost like it felt like doctors don't have any training in how to deliver the news. Maybe it felt like that, like the GPs. So I would say, even 10 years later, I think that first experience of going through that whole abortion process, I think it's still quite traumatizing. I think I still remember that more than my other abortions, just because of how emotionally taxing it was. And I wouldn't want somebody to go through that. Like, the emotional side of it was, yeah, was horrendous. That's how it felt at the time. But I did go through with it. I did get the abortion. Physically, it didn't hurt me that much. I think maybe I was younger. I wasn't in as much pain. I noticed a lot of pain in my 30s, but in my 20s, I didn't. Not sure why. I guess everybody's different. And yeah, I just never wanted to look back. I don't think I even processed it very much. I think I just wanted to get over and done with it. So it was like a sense of relief, although it was mixed with grief and regret and relief. And I had two opposite reactions, emotions at once. So yeah, that was my first experience of it. I can't describe in words how traumatizing it was, but it really was. Even though I had to make that choice, it was my decision to do it. But it doesn't make it any less painful or traumatic.
Yeah. Did you feel like more so the decision was like a cultural thing for you the first time that you were going through it, that it wasn't right? It obviously wasn't right in the right timing, the right environment, but obviously there was a part of you that was torn. So was it that more like a cultural thing that sort of made you go down that path?
It was, I wasn't in a relationship at that
Yeah.
time, and my mum was quite strict. I don't know how she would have reacted. I think my fear was her reaction to me being pregnant at such a
Mm.
young age and not being in a stable relationship, not being married. And yeah, I hadn't, the relationship I have with her now, where I can be open about anything, I did not have that 10 years ago. It's
Yeah.
taken so long to get there. And in my culture, I'm Indian, like, people already just born in a strict family, like, you can't escape it. So it was, yeah, it was a no-brainer. It was, as soon as I knew I was pregnant, I was like, okay, I just got to get rid of it. Like, literally in my mind, I'm like, how do I get rid of it? I need to get rid of it. I can't let anybody know. What's the quickest way to do it? It was, yeah, it was that fear. And then it was also the fear of, what if something goes wrong and I end up having to tell people about it? I need this to be a smooth process so that nobody finds out. I don't want any complications. So it was very, like I said, emotionally taxing and traumatic, trying to hide it from a strict family and hoping that for no complications. And then going through the actual process of when you take, because I did a medical abortion, going through that and taking the tablets and having to hide the pain. Yeah, it was all in hiding. And that's so
Mm.
hard to have to do, because you've got no one to call, or you do it by yourself. You're literally, you're in your own mind, in your own home, in your own mind. And it was very hard to
Mm.
hide it in front of people and act like you're normal when internally you're not.
Yeah. And I feel even though in your case, like for most women, when we fall pregnant, we're like, yes, this is what we want. And when people have to go through termination, it's a different, same, almost the same process, but different experience, because for yourself in your situation, it was almost an instant knowing, I can't go through with this. I can't bring this child into this world. But I think there's such a stigma around obviously those choices, because you're like, you shouldn't have done it, you were careless and whatever else. And they think, okay, it's just a natural, not a natural, that you're not going to be struggling emotionally because
It's
of
like,
that.
exactly. It's like, you made the choice, so why do you feel bad about it?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I made the choice, but I still wanted to be a mom. I just couldn't be it at that time. And that's the grief of not being able to be a mom and having to give up what was already within you. And that's still, I didn't do it by choice. I didn't want it to be like that. I'm upset because of the situation that, yes, I got myself into. I'm aware of that, but it wasn't by choice. It was an accident. But it's, yeah, the emphasis is always on the women and like the decisions we have to make on this and how, why do you feel bad? I'm allowed to feel bad about having to abort and also feel relief of doing it and also feel regret. Like I'm allowed to have all those intersecting emotions. But yeah, it's so stigmatized. It's, we're in 2026 and I feel like I'm still in hiding for some reason. I don't know why. I feel like I can't escape that thought.
You still can't mention the words. You still can't utter the experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hate
Um,
that.
yeah. That, and it's because there is still so much, especially like even around the termination for medical reasons side of things. There is still, again, it's a choice that the women are making, but only because they are medically put into those situations. But I feel like that word, when we're talking about abortion, like that just automatically is like a trigger word. It's like people see red. It's like you can't do that. But like I said, for your case, like you, and like you said, you still want to be a mom. You still, your body was put into that position. You couldn't do it at that time. So you had to make that decision. That doesn't mean that you didn't have all of those emotions come up for you. But also, then on top of that, you were also questioning, how does this all happen? And being so young, like you're 23, it is very hard to wrap yourself around such, or wrap your head around such a big transition, such a big challenge.
Yeah, it was. I was in, I feel like I was in survival mode at that time. I was just trying to survive the situation, the emotions, and then I was like, I just need this to hurry up and just get over and done with. Because to go see, to go to the abortion clinic, you have to book an appointment, so you still have to wait, and then you go there, and then they do all the everything, and then they finally give you the tablets to take. But it's just a complicated, confusing process. The waiting game of from when you find out to when you need to go to the thing. It's like in my situation, because I was hiding it, and I'm sure there are so many women who have had to hide it from people around them. That anxiety, it eats you up. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat. I just couldn't do anything. My mind would not rest. I couldn't be in peace for that. I can't remember how long I had to wait. Maybe it was a few days or a week or something. It just felt like eternity. And I'm like, when is this? Hurry up. As much as I was hurting that I had to do it and I didn't want to let it go, I still wanted it to hurry up so I could just get over this whole process because it was so emotionally draining. So it's like a paradox of two opposite emotions at once, but that's what it feels like. And at that time, I remember feeling, oh, am I killing something? Am I a murderer? What am I doing? And I was thinking to myself, I have to be, I feel like I have to take care of this thing within me until I have to abort it. And I had so much guilt for that as well because I never wanted to, because I really wanted to have kids. It's just, you don't, in, I just feel like I want to have kids with the right person. It wasn't that time at that point. It was not the right person or time or anything. But it's, yeah, it's, you make the decision, but doesn't mean that you don't hurt.
Yeah. And I think that's where a lot of people just assume, oh, you're not hurting
Yeah, exactly.
because you made the decision. And yet you look, like you said, there was this paradox of emotions that were going through. You wanted to obviously go through and you wanted to be a mum. You do want to be a mum. So having the opportunity in that moment, you're like, this is what I want for me, but not right now. And then having to go to the process of going to the clinic and all of that. And I guess even in the whole you wanting to rush the process, did you feel like if you got to the other side of it and it was all done, that you would finally get peace?
I was looking for peace, and I felt like this whole ordeal took my peace and my sanity away from me. I think if I had more support or I was able to talk to my family, well, my mom, really. I don't really have anybody else at that time. Maybe it would have been less daunting. Because I was by myself figuring out my own emotions, it was very hard. I had one friend that I could talk to, but she wasn't always like available on text. So I just, whenever I could get her, I would message her. But apart from that, it was like, I don't even know if there's any support service numbers for women going through abortions. You have Lifeline and Mental Health Line. I can't even think of what the abortion helpline name or number is. I don't even know if it exists. It's just not readily available anywhere. It's not even when you go to female toilets in public spaces and they sometimes have like ads about domestic violence or other things. There's never anything about abortions or abortion grief. And I'm like, is it really that taboo? How come we can talk about rape and sexual assault? We can talk about that more than we can talk about abortion grief. And that's a horrible taboo topic as well. Like, it just drives me nuts.
Yeah, yeah. And it's very real. And there's women like yourself that are navigating the challenges of the grief that comes with the experience. And did you feel like after being able to go through the process, did it bring you peace or did it bring, okay, now I have to help myself through the aftermath of the process? Or did you just feel like you just shoved it all aside and wasn't able to process it?
I had peace because the situation was over. I don't know how much of I don't know how much I processed. I think I drank a bit to numb the pain, to be honest. I think maybe I had more peace just because I didn't have to be in fear
Yeah.
of somebody finding out, or I was relieved. So the peace came from, oh, okay, I'm relieved now. Nobody needs to know. I can just carry on. But internally, I was still like, I can't believe I just went through that. I can't believe I just did that. It was still like
Mm.
shock. I think I
Yeah.
was still in shock that I even had to do it. I was shocked and I was relieved and I was at peace and I was feeling guilty. And once again, I had so many emotions at once. But yes, I think it was peaceful and then hoping that I never have to go through this again. But I did years later, unfortunately. However, I do realize that in my 20s, the way I saw abortion and how I felt about it and the intense emotions was a bit different to when I experienced it in my 30s. I think I was a bit more aware, deeper awareness, more reflection, more awareness of what I was going to go through. But then I felt the grief even stronger because it was like, again, I had to go through it. But yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
intense.
Yeah. And we talk about there's grief in so many areas of our life, all those different transitions. But this is obviously something, again, that's not spoken about because we just assume you're fine. How you went through it again in your 30s, were you able to, and you said you recognized it a little bit more for yourself and be able to do more for yourself? What were you able to do that was different in your 30s that you weren't able to do in the first time you went through it?
I was able to let it out creatively, like
Yeah.
through writing and poetry. I had my partner with me, so I had somebody to vent to. I think I'm more spiritual now than I was when I was 23. I guess it was like spiritually, it was like I felt less regret because I thought to myself, because I deal with a lot of cases where there's a lot of domestic violence and intergenerational trauma. And I sometimes think certain people, it's, you know what, you're so traumatized yourself. Like, why did you have kids? Like, you probably should have healed your trauma before doing that. So when I think about all that, it was like, you know what, I know I'm making the right decision to have this abortion because I'm not in the right space financially, emotionally, or in any space. I probably may have unprocessed trauma. Like, I was more aware of why it was probably a better decision for me now. But when I was 23, I couldn't see those things. I
Yeah.
think it's a space I work in and I deal with so much trauma and so many women being forced into having kids or being in situations where it's like having a child has made it harder for them to leave abusive relationships and things like that. When I see that, I'm like, I have a choice. It's probably better for me not to have a child right now. So that part didn't hurt. But this time around, oh my God, it was so physically taxing. I never cry when I'm in pain physically. I was like screaming. I've never experienced such a pain before, ever. So this time around, my trauma was the physical pain. But when I was in my 20s, my trauma was the emotional pain. So I couldn't escape the pain, but it was just different forms this time. But yeah, physically, this time around has got to be, I'm traumatized by that, to be honest. I don't know what the medication was, and was I not given strong enough painkillers? I don't really know. All I know is that, yeah. And even to this day, I think my periods have become, the first day or two is really painful, which I never had before. So I
Yeah.
think I'm feeling the effects of it.
Yeah. And I think, like you said, it is a choice. We can sit back and society can sit back and go, oh, I'm going to judge that person for doing that thing and making that decision. But when it comes down to it, it is you and you're making that choice based on maybe the knowledge that you have. You were scared the first time round and fearful of what people would have said, what your mum would have said. The second time round, you made a decision again based on where you were physically, mentally, emotionally, knowing what you know. And I think that's what we've got to allow women to win permission to talk about it, is to be okay with their decision.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the hardest thing. And that's the thing that people are going to judge you the most for.
Yeah. I don't have I don't have regrets, to be honest, but I think you get judged for not regretting it. Like you get judged for making the decision, for not regretting it, for feeling the relief. And it's like, you're not in my shoes to know why I had to do what I had to do. Like, I'd rather abort than bring a child into this world where I probably can't look after it financially or emotionally. I'm just not, I can't do that. That for me is an injustice. If I were to bring a child in a world where I can't give it everything it needs. So for that, I would rather abort, because I feel like I'm doing the right thing. I don't want my child to suffer, and they might have. I don't know. I'm not that I'm an abusive person or anything like that. I'm not. But I don't know. What if I wasn't capable financially or emotionally to do it? What if I have it and then I'm like, oh my god, this is worse than what I thought. I don't know how I'm going to feel. So I saved myself and my child. I had to do it, and I don't regret that. And sometimes you don't need to have a reason to abort. Sometimes it's just because I just don't want a kid, full stop. Why do we have to feel bad for that when there are so many men who don't want kids either? Like,
Yeah.
nobody shames men for not wanting kids. But as soon as women don't want kids, it's, oh, like,
But that's what you're designed for.
what the hell?
Yeah. And again, it's society's judgment and perception of what they feel like you should be doing. Like you should be providing, you should be procreating. And when women choose not to, sometimes it is situational, the place that they're in, it's not safe, and they choose not to. Sometimes women, it isn't part of them, their future at all. And again, we have to be okay with hearing those stories. But for us, for me, I was like, that wouldn't have been an option. But then I'm not you and you're not me. So I can't sit on the other side of you and judge you for any of the decisions that you've made, because that's not what I would do. But then it's, again, we're two different people, two different, completely different environments.
Yeah.
And we need to give women the permission to tell their story and for it to be okay with these choices.
Yeah.
And for it to be okay that you look back and you don't regret those choices.
No. I regret being in the situation that I had to make the choice,
Yes.
but
Yeah.
I don't regret the decision itself when I look back.
Yeah. Yeah. And to know that just because you made those decisions doesn't mean that you don't feel the effects of having to make that decision too. Like you've said, the abortion grief, like it is valid, it is real. And you experienced a whole array of emotions, conflicting emotions going through that process.
Oh, yeah.
And you've also mentioned there was a lack of empathy, potentially, awareness, education from the medical field as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
How was your experience with that? Because I know, like, even with pregnancy loss, the experience is very cold for most women, very dismissive, very much like they don't give you the knowledge and awareness that you need to move through those experiences. And for you to have that on the other side of that as well. One in 4 pregnancies will result in miscarriage. 1 in 8 women will experience infertility. 1 in 100 women will experience recurrent miscarriage. And 1 in 160 births end in stillbirth. Have you been wanting to make a difference in the lives of women or men who have experienced pregnancy loss because you can see so many suffering in silence, but you just don't know how? Collectively, we can change how bereaved parents can access mental, physical, and emotional support after their experience. There is a lot of women with unhealed trauma, and there is a huge gap in the current support system when it comes to bereaved parents' recovery after loss. There are too many women and men suffering in silence. The Pregnancy Loss Practitioner Certification is a worldwide, one-of-a-kind program that gives you proven methods designed for healthcare professionals, medical staff, midwives, nurses, doulas, birth workers, coaches, and angel parents alike. The Pregnancy Loss Practitioner Certification is bridging that gap. It will give you a proven support structure to follow and education specific to pregnancy loss, created by a loss mum. It is creating more education specifically for loss so that you can enhance your service and become the point of difference. Or you can create the support that you so desperately needed in your healing after loss. This is the next level of growth and expansion you have been searching for. So does this sound like something that you have been searching for? Let's explore this more together. You can head to the episode show notes where you'll find the program application, or direct message me on Instagram and let's open up the conversation in how you can use this education. You have a gift, and I look forward to supporting you and witnessing you bring your gift to the world, healing and transforming women's lives.
Yeah, I don't feel like the doctors or the GPs that I went to showed much empathy. I felt like it was a business transaction. Like you're just there. Here you go. This is what you do. This is what happens. You just got to call an abortion clinic and book an appointment. Like very cold, like you said, very cold and very dismissive. It almost felt like they were looking down on me, like this dumb girl doing these things and getting herself in this situation.
There's another one going.
Yeah. You're like a number. You're like, and another one walks through the door with the same problem. Yeah, you feel like a number. You don't feel like a human. I did not feel like a human at that point. I felt like I was just walked in to be judged wherever I was. And then I leave feeling even worse. I don't remember them giving me any information on grief, on abortion grief, any numbers to call. Nobody said anything like that. Like here you can call an abortion grief hotline. I don't even know if that exists. Here's a website. I don't think, maybe I didn't do my research, but nothing's readily available and no information was given to me by the doctors apart from you're 5 weeks pregnant or 6 weeks pregnant. I can't remember how many weeks I was. And you just take the pill on this day, and then however many hours later, you take the next pill, and you're going to experience pain. So if you experience pain, call the doctor, call the ambulance. Okay, but what about mentally? I think it goes back to you made the choice, so maybe you don't feel the pain or the grief because this was a choice you had to make. You weren't forced into it because of a medical condition of some kind. Maybe it was that, but yeah, I felt pretty crap.
Yeah.
And I was on Facebook groups. There's Facebook groups for women going through abortion. I was on that. I felt more comfort from strangers, I don't even know who, than from doctors and people in this country that I visited. So I do feel quite sad about that. I don't know what other women have gone through, what their experiences were, but yeah, you feel helpless and judged at the same time.
Yeah. And that your reasoning for going in, they don't take any of that into consideration. But I feel sometimes, like you've said, those Facebook groups offer you more comfort than the medical system. But then I also feel like because of the medical system, the way that it is, if you were shown more comfort in those situations, more safety, you probably would mitigate a lot of trauma that comes after it.
Yeah. It would help if they just treated you more like a human than a number. Like they treated you with a bit more kindness. The only question they asked me was, "Are you being forced into having an abortion?" That was it. Because my
Mm.
partner was with me. And I'm like, no, I'm not being forced into anything. I'm doing what I have to do. Maybe I came across strong to them and maybe that's why. I don't know. But yeah, it was, I did show emotion. Like I was sad. I wasn't elated over this decision I had to make. But yeah, there has to be something more when you go to these doctors or clinics. I feel like they need to give you more instead of being very robotic. They were quite robotic in the way they talk to you and the way they treat you. No empathy, no poker face. They're literally poker face. I'm just like, I couldn't wait to get out of there. I'm like, I don't know what I want more right now, the abortion or to just get out of this place. For me, it was that bad, the way I was treated.
Yeah. And then you talk about obviously supporting women through this as well and intergenerational trauma. I love that topic itself and how we can, when we choose the healing for us now, it actually does help heal our future generations.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you want to share a little bit about that aspect of it as well? Because you touched on it for yourself. You're like, I needed to make sure that I was healed or healing these things, these traumas for you first before you brought new life into the world.
Yeah. Trauma, intergenerational trauma is quite prevalent in my culture as it probably is in many cultures. And it's your original traumatic experience that is passed down the lineage, passed down from parent to child to child. It just continues on. When you break that, it means you have to revisit old wounds. So you have to revisit, what did my mom and my dad go through? What did their parents go through? What did their parents go through? It's a learning curve as far back as you can go for you to move forward. And sometimes our traumas come out, especially after becoming a parent, because I've noticed this so often. Like parents haven't healed from their own traumas afflicted by their parents, they put it onto their children. And that was my fear as well. What if I'm not healed? What if because I grew up without a dad, my dad was never present. So I suffered the effects of not having a dad. And my mom went through domestic violence as well. And my mom had a very tumultuous, terrible relationship with her mother. I'm like, what if I am carrying all this subconsciously and passing this on to my kid? What if I do that? But you have to be so self-aware to even have that thought. Some people don't sit there thinking about what is the trauma I'm carrying. Yeah, to pass it down was probably one of that is one of the reasons why I don't regret having my abortion, because I feel with the amount of trauma I've been through, I may pass it down.
Yeah.
So it's so important for anybody who's a parent or not even a parent, just in general, to really sit there and be like, what trauma have I gone through? And trauma is your reaction to something that has
Yeah.
happened, physical, mental, spiritual reaction to an event that caused you distress. So, what have I gone through that was distressing? What was my reaction? Have I healed from it? And you ask that question for your lineage, your parents and their parents. That's when you start to figure out where your trauma lies, the cycles that are passed down. In my family, actually, there's been a cycle of grief, and I'm still grieving because of having to abort. But in my maternal lineage, my mom, her mom, there has been a cycle of grief already. It has to end with me. Like I can't keep grieving. But I was aware enough to recognize that going all the way back.
Mm.
Yeah, it's very important to look back so you can move forward.
Yeah. I think too, to know that you're not going to be fully healed, but just to be aware, okay, this is what's happening. This is what I can continue to do for myself each time it presents.
Yeah.
Because, and I totally can see the trauma that was passed through to me and into my daughter as well. But just by watching my mum, just by observing her. But just to know, okay, yes, I've had this. I'm aware of it now. I'm processing it. I can see it playing out in my daughter. I'm aware of it. I'm helping her process it. it's this ever evolving and ongoing process sometimes with some things.
Yeah. And healing doesn't mean that your trauma doesn't exist. It just
Mm,
means that you deal with it in such a way that doesn't affect you or the people around you. It doesn't mean that you're not traumatized anymore, that it doesn't matter or that you're okay. It just means that you're not with it in a very self-destructive way. You're not drinking, you're not smoking, you're not doing drugs. You're at least very self-aware. And healing, it never ends, but it's not something that's every day. Okay, I need to heal. I need to heal. It's not that either. When it pops up is when it's your reaction to your
yeah.
thoughts. So it doesn't mean that your pain is invalid or your trauma never happened. That's not even what healing really is. It's just not reacting strongly to it and having a better way to deal with your thoughts and your pain.
Yeah. It's being able to, I always like, I always say it's embodying it, like being able to just understand that it is part of you.
Yeah.
And it's not that you are, like you said, you're not reacting from that place anymore or all the time, but it does pop up and it
Yeah.
does require in that moment for you to go, okay, I see you,
Yeah.
and be able to process. But again, it's that self-awareness, it's having the tools, which is what you do, which is how you help people.
Yeah. It's managing. It's just managing the heavy emotions coming up.
Yeah. So, because of your experience, is that now something that you get a lot of women coming to you for? Do you get a lot of women coming to you for the abortion grief, as well as obviously what I said in your bio, that you've got other areas that you like to specialize in as well? But do you tend to help women through that too?
Yeah. And also, something we don't talk about is a lot of women in violent situations have been forced into having kids or having abortions. And I've noticed a lot of women come to me who they are pregnant, but they're in an abusive relationship and they're forced to terminate the pregnancy or they're not sure what to do. So I just wanted to give a mention to women who are in such horrendous situations where they find out they're pregnant and it's so scary for them. And then they do ask me, like, what do I do? And sometimes I end up saying to them, the situation you're in, would you want your child to be in that? What do you want for yourself? And then a lady recently was like, I think I'm gonna have to do an abortion because my husband is very abusive and I don't want a child in this world in that situation. So I help women figure out whether they want to should they have the child or not. When they ask me for my opinion, I do give it, but then I say, look, it's just my opinion. It's your body. You get to make the choice regardless of what I think. Like a, I'm just 5 minutes out of your whole entire life. So you don't have to listen to me. So I do end up helping them through that, through abortion grief, through the intergenerational trauma. Sometimes it's so complex and so intertwined. It's because they've had bad experiences with their mothers. Some women don't know if they want to be mothers now or if they want to have
Yeah.
the child because of how badly they, in my culture, it can be pretty bad, the trauma being passed down by parents. So some women are actually on the fence of, should I do it? Should I not? Should I have a child? Should I not? And they don't know. Or if it's the abortion grief, it's still they can't tell their parents because
Yeah.
very old school mindset they can't understand. Because in my culture, it's like, even if your husband and wife are having a fight, they'll be like, oh, have a kid. It's going to solve your problems. Just have a kid. Everything's going to be fine. So, how do you explain to people who think having a kid's going to be fine that, oh, actually, I had an abortion? Like, how do you tell them that? You can't because they don't understand. So, that's when I'm able to help them because it's, look, I'm an Indian woman. I get it. Let's talk. Very complex when culture gets involved in it.
Yeah. And like you said, there are some really strong beliefs in those moments too. And it can absolutely make you afraid of making the wrong decision, especially when that's all you know and you don't want to rock the boat.
Yeah.
But also, obviously, coming from abusive relationships too, very scary environments. And of course, you don't want your child to think that is a normal relationship.
Yeah.
You want your child to go on and have healthy relationships.
Yeah.
So, yeah, helping them through. And these are really big thought processes and challenges that you can't navigate on your own. You need to have someone who obviously can speak to you from an experience, even from herself, like yourself. And I've always said, if we had a therapist or two people standing in front of you, one that hasn't had your experience but has the training, one that has the training and the experience, who would you choose?
That's right.
And to be able to go to someone who has had the experience, who has built the knowledge around that to help you through, help you make those decisions because they're heavy. And like you said, when there's either culture or domestic violence involved, they become even heavier.
Oh, yeah. And it's just another layer of trauma and grief on top of everything else that you're going through. I don't know what that would feel like I've never been in an abusive relationship where I'm forced into having a child or not having a child, but I understand it just because I know what my culture is. So I do get it, but to have to be in those shoes and not knowing what to do and being confused, especially when English may not be your first language, or you don't know about what support is available in this country, how to do anything. You might not even have your visa. You might be on like a temporary visa. All those factors play in and then you find out you're pregnant. Oh my God, it is so overwhelming for these ladies.
And obviously, it's more than just you because there are women out there that you're helping through these decisions as well. And often that's where we are called into these spaces is because we go through it. We feel maybe the heavy emotions, the injustice. And then we're like, if I'm feeling that, there's someone else that's feeling it too. There's someone else that's going through this. That's not just an off the cuff choice. Oh, I'm just going to have an abortion. So and a lot of women don't take these decisions lightly. So to have someone to be able to speak with in those moments.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I never wanted to go through this, but if anything good came out of it was the fact that I now relate to other people who are going through it, and I already know about counseling and therapy and I understand all that. So this was like something I could add on to what I do, just to raise awareness and have the knowledge and the actual literal physical and emotional experience of it. I can really relate to so many women who've had to do that, willingly, not willingly, by themselves or with support, either or. I get
Mm.
it. It's not easy at all.
No. And I'm so grateful that you are in that position to guide and support other women that are going through such heavy times in their lives. Is there anything else that you wanted to mention before we wrapped up?
Ooh. I would just say that whatever your reason for having an abortion, it's valid. You don't have to carry that guilt. I know we do feel guilty for it, but all your reasons, whatever reason it is for having an abortion, is valid. You don't That shouldn't stop you from making the decision you have to make based on other people and what people will think and all those things. It shouldn't be like that. I myself never thought I was going to be in that position where I had to do such a thing, but I'm here. I had to do it, and I'm taking it like at least I can now help people through it. So, whatever you're allowed to feel, whatever you feel after an abortion, whether it's relief, whether it's grief, sadness, peace, none of these emotions, they don't cancel each other out. You can feel all of them at once. And talking about abortion as we are, it's really about giving women permission to be human, to process their emotions, and to know they're not alone. So I'm so glad these conversations exist. Your podcast exists to talk about it, because it's actually very healing and cathartic. Yeah, we shouldn't be living in shame over a decision we made. Like, we had to do what we had to do. I don't I have no shame for it.
Yeah. And you're made to feel like you should, but then you made to feel wrong if you don't. And you're like, maybe I should feel guilty. Maybe I should feel shame. Um,
Yeah, at one point I felt guilty for not feeling guilty. I was like, wow, I didn't know that existed, but that does too.
yeah. And I love that you said just to make a woman feel human in this experience because it can feel like maybe you are having like an out of body experience and you're like, it wasn't something I ever thought that I was going to go through. And then all of this judgment and shame and guilt. And you just like trying to navigate all of that.
Yeah. No, it's I how many thousands, hundreds of thousands of women across the world have to go through this. I think in Australia, where I know the support, the aftermath may not be very supportive, but we are very lucky that we live in a country where we can access abortions at any time. There's no reason we can't access an abortion. So I think we are lucky. I just think more needs to be done to support women during and
After.
after.
Yeah.
That's where we're really lacking, is the support network. Because like I said, I can't think of one hotline that I could ring to do with this, or anywhere I can go. I can't think of a place I could go process the abortion trauma. So that's where we're lacking, and we need more awareness, raising our voices, awareness, and more help in that field.
Yeah. Just shifting the conversation, because a lot of people just view it in through one perspective.
Yeah.
And if there's more women out there, obviously, like you, that have had different experiences. So being able to shift the conversation and go, hey, it wasn't easy. The before, during, and after wasn't easy. And there needs to be more support, like you said, for the during and the aftermath.
Yeah, just ways to process, cope. They don't even give you like a pamphlet or a booklet on processing grief. When I say there's nothing, there was literally nothing.
Mm.
That's what I feel sad for. Like, women way younger than me may have had to go through abortions at 18, 17, 19 with no help, anything. Like, that's crazy. I don't
Yeah.
know why it's overlooked. The post-abortion help is overlooked. Not sure why, but I think that's where we really need to focus on. And that's why I feel the calling to help women through abortion grief, because it's like, I know what it's like to have nobody and have no support. So
Mm.
I get it.
Yeah. For it to just fall by the wayside. And again, it could go back to the fact that there is that judgment, there is that stigma. You're going in, you're choosing for it to be happy, for it to happen. So there won't be any emotion afterwards. Maybe that's, well, how it's built.
Yeah. Can you imagine if all the emphasis put on other crimes in this world and other rapes and other things like that was put on what it feels like for women to go through abortions? Like, so much emphasis with so many things are, everybody talks about other topics like rape and murder and war crimes and this and that. It's like, why is this not something we hear on the news? Why is this not on the news? Why is this not on a current affair? Why is this not everywhere? Why is this in hiding still in 2026 when so many women have had to have abortions? Why are we not caring so much about this? I just wish there was more done
Mm.
and said.
Yeah.
So I do feel sad in that regard. How many women probably don't feel seen?
Yeah. So, in saying that, where can people find you and reach out to you?
I'm on Instagram, on LinkedIn, Facebook, just under counsellor Shalina or Shalina Lodhia, whichever one, you'll find me under both. And yeah, just feel free to connect, reach out. If anything I have said resonates, yeah, just know you're not alone. Just like you, there are many of us who've fought that internal battle. So we understand what it's like.
Yeah, and you can in yourself, you have someone that has actually walked that path, walked in the shoes, and you have developed ways to help women through the grief,
Yeah,
the trauma that comes afterwards.
yeah, just had processing it, and just a safe place to vent. Sometimes you just need to vent. So whatever it is, I'm all ears.
Yeah. I'll make sure that everything's linked in the show notes for you. But I truly appreciate you, Shalina, for coming on and speaking so openly about your experience and not shying away from having those heavy and difficult conversations and questions.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm glad your podcast exists. It's been healing for me just to even talk about it, because I haven't actually come out and talked about it myself. So just to be able to do that is, wow, there's a safe place. So
Yeah.
it's healing as well. So thank you for doing what you do.
Oh, you're so welcome. And like I said at the beginning, we need to have these conversations. There needs to be the voices heard, shared, so that women feel less alone. Obviously, this is a very different topic to what I've spoken about on the podcast prior, but still very valuable and valid, because there are women that are going through these decisions, and feeling emotion afterwards, and then not knowing how to process that feeling. And like you've said, the paradox of emotions that are going through, the conflicting emotions. So to have a space where you can share your story and others can feel seen and heard in theirs.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's very normal to have conflicting emotions. Like that's the most normal part about all of this is
Mm,
having that. Yeah, if you're feeling conflicted, it's nothing out of the ordinary. Like this is exactly how most of us feel when we're
yeah,
going through this.
yeah. And it's valid to feel, yeah, you've said there could be relief, there could be peace, there could be heaviness, there could be emotion, there could be trauma and grief. So just to feel all of that, and that's all normal. And to now have people like yourself that they are aware of, that they can call on. And I'm grateful that you felt safe enough to share your story for the first time on the podcast.
Yes, you.
It's,
This is
yeah,
why we need your show, why we need these conversations to feel safe and then
yes,
help others. So this is exactly why we needed this.
yeah. And like we've said the whole way through, the topics are very stigmatized, very judged, and to have these spaces where you can open up safely, have the conversation, share, put it, and then put it out to the world and go, okay, this is why we need to have these conversations, because there's so much
Yeah.
more underneath that choice that you made. There's like this whole
Yeah.
life that is attached, your whole
Yeah.
life that's attached to that decision.
And also maybe in the intergenerational trauma, as I was saying, why certain people choose
Mm.
to have the abortions stem from how they experienced being raised as a child and experience with their parents is
Yeah.
also, yeah,
Yeah.
so multitude, layers and layers.
Absolutely. And if that is your experience growing up, like, of course, that's the thought process that you're going to have. But for someone on the outside, obviously, it's not their thought process. So, they're like, why would you do that? But then, if you actually go and peel back the layers of that person's life, you would be able to understand, oh, okay, yes, I can maybe see a little bit more of why she made that decision. So having these conversations like with yourself, being able to open up and share those deeper layers is so valid, so important.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's been amazing being able to talk to you and share everything. And hopefully, I've been able to resonate. Hopefully, some women are able to resonate with my story. That would be amazing as well.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure it'll help someone out there. And I think that's our mission, isn't it? Like just to help one more person going through it so they feel less isolated, less alone, less misunderstood, and let that one person be seen and witnessed. And for that one
Oh,
person
yeah.
to know that you exist, and then that ripple effect.
I know. I wish this existed like when I was 23, when I was all by myself. I wish this existed back then. And I wish it existed even in my 30s when this happened. Like it yeah, it's hard to find sometimes, but as long as we're getting out there and raising our voices, hopefully the universe gets us connected to whoever needs to hear it.
Yeah, and they're difficult conversations, so a lot of people can't hold them. So to
True.
be able to have this with you now here today is immense because you've been able to share something that a lot of people can't hold on here. So no, I think it's very valuable. And yeah, I wish I had me when I was going through my experience too. So
Me too. That's exactly what I'm thinking. Like, I wish I had this, but I guess we can make up for it now and be there for others because that's what it is about. Like, being in the helping profession is so rewarding because we get to
mm,
help somebody else in pain. So yeah, it's the whole reason why I do what I do.
yeah, yeah. And we've been initiated into this space because of our experience. If we
Yeah.
were there's not absolutely no way that we could do what we do without having what we've been through. So to the depth of what you can support someone. So I think, yes, I wish I had me, but also there's been a lot of healing and growth I've had to go through to get to where I am, to be able to support people and hold those
Yeah.
conversations that a lot of people don't want to, that a lot of people want to shy away from. So
Yeah.
yeah, we need to go
Turning
through our own journeys. Yes. Yeah.
pain into power. I think that's what it is.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Shalina, again, for being a part of the podcast today.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're so welcome. Thank you to all that have listened in. If this episode was valuable to you, I invite you to leave a review on Apple Podcasts, and I look forward to supporting you on the next episode. Thank you for listening in with me today. I hope you found this episode helpful. If you did, I would absolutely love to hear from you. Take a screenshot of this episode, share it to social media, and tag me at Institute of Healing_PL. I love seeing what is resonating with you right now. If you want to chat further, I invite you to connect with me through Instagram. Head over and follow my Instagram account, send me a DM, and let's open the communication. If you want to know more about how you can be the support for others, head to the show notes and fill out the application form for the Pregnancy Loss Practitioner certification. I want to also note here that what I share within the episodes is not medical advice. If you need further support, please consult your doctor. Thank you again. Much love to you. Be gentle with yourself, and I look forward to supporting you on the next episode.